the previous lecture, we saw the combination of resistances connected in series and resistances connected in parallel. Now let's turn to the Wheatstone's network. The Wheatstone's network consists of 4 resistances R1, R2, R3 and R4 as shown in the figure, out of which R1, R2 and R3 are fixed resistances, while R4 is a variable resistance. So let's represent R4 as a variable resistance. Here at the center we have a galvanometer. Galvanometer is a current sensing device you must have seen in school. So this is a galvanometer. The scale of the galvanometer shows a 0 at the center. So the galvanometer can show deflection on either side depending upon the direction of the current flowing through the galvanometer. Now let this point in the figure be marked as A. Let this be point B. Let this be point C and this as point D. Now when the circuit is complete, a current will start to flow through the circuit. So say a current I is flowing from the positive terminal of the battery. The current I will reach point A. At point A, the current will split. Part of this current will flow through R1. Remaining part of the current will flow through R3. Let the current flowing through R1 be say I1 and current through R3 is say I2. Now this current I1 through R1 will reach point B. At point B the circuit branches again. So part of this current I1 will flow through R2. Remaining part will flow through the galvanometer. Similarly, the current I2 through R2 through R3 will reach point D. At point D again the circuit has split, and so part of the current will flow through R4 and remaining part will flow through the galvanometer. Now see this branch, we have shown the current flowing from B towards the galvanometer, and at the bottom we have shown the current flowing from D again into the galvanometer. So current is flowing in two directions in the same branch, which is not possible. So either the current will flow from B to D or from D to B. The direction of the current through the galvanometer is decided by the potentials at point B and D. The current will always flow from a point at higher potential to a lower potential. The potentials of point B and D are decided by the values of R1, R2, R3 and R4. Now R4 being a variable resistance is to be so adjusted that the galvanometer shows zero deflection. When the galvanometer shows zero deflection, it indicates that both B and D points are at the same potential, or they are equipotential points. Now, say resistance R4 is so adjusted that B and D points are equipotential points, so that no current flows to the galvanometer or galvanometer shows zero deflection. In that case, the current I1 flowing through R1 will reach point B, but at point B, as no part of the current is going to flow through the galvanometer, the entire current I1 will flow through R2. Similarly, current I2 which is flowing through R3 will reach point D, and at point D, as no part of the current is going to flow through the galvanometer, the entire current I2 will flow through R4. So, the current I, when it splits at point A into I1 and I2, current I1 will flow from this point like this, and current I2 will flow from A point through R3 and R4 in this direction, and the total current I will then flow through this branch. Now when R4 is adjusted so that no current flows to the galvanometer and B and D are equipotential points, the network is said to be balanced. Now when the network is balanced and no current is flowing through the galvanometers, B and D points are at the same potential. When is this possible? See resistances R1 and R3. For R1 and R3, point A is common at one end. For R1, the other end is B, and for R3, the other end is D. B and D are both equipotential points. So for R1 and R3, the potential drop across the resistances is equal. Similarly, C for R2 and R4. Point C is common to both the resistances R2 and R4, and for R2 the other end is B, for R4 the other end is D. Both B and D are equipotential points. So the potential difference across R2 and R4 is equal. So now the network will be balanced only when potential drop across AB is equal to potential drop across AD. Now applying Ohm's law, we can write I1 R1 potential drop across AB is equal to I2 R3, which is potential drop across AD, and potential drop across BC is equal to potential drop across DC. Applying Ohm's law again, for R2, I2 R2 is equal to I2 R4. Now dividing equation 1 by equation 2, I1 and I2 will get cancelled, and we get R1 upon R2 is equal to R3 upon R4. This expression is the condition necessary to balance the network. When this condition is satisfied, then only the network is balanced. B and D points are equipotential points and no current flows through the galvanometer. So this expression is important. It is the condition required to balance the network. So this is the condition necessary to balance the network. The meter bridge. The meter bridge is an application of the Wheatstone's network. It is called a meter bridge because it consists of a very important resistance wire which is 1 meter in length. Let's see the construction of this meter bridge. The meter bridge has got two L-shaped metal strips at the two ends of the wire. A third metal strip is at the center, so that two gaps are produced. The gap on the left hand side is called as the left gap. The gap on the right hand side is called as the right gap. These metal strips and the resistance wire is fitted on a wooden board, and this meter bridge is used to determine an unknown resistance X. Now we will see actually the meter bridge so that it is clear to you. Now this is the meter bridge. It has got two metal strips at the two ends, you can see over here. Third metal strip is over here at the center. This is the left gap, this is the right gap, and the wire 1 meter in length is over here on the scale. The scale is used to measure the length of the wire. Now let's again turn back to the circuit diagram. So back to the circuit diagram of the meter bridge. As I said, the meter bridge is an application of the Wheatstone's network. Comparing both the circuit diagrams, this is point A of the Wheatstone network, this is point B, this is point C, and here we have point D. Like in the Wheatstone network, there is a galvanometer between point B and point D. Now in the Wheatstone network, we have four resistances R1, R2 and R3 and R4. Similarly, the meter bridge also has got the four resistances R1, R2, R3 and R4. In the Wheatstone network, we adjust the value of R4 so that no current flows to the galvanometer, that is point B and D are equipotential points. Similarly, over here, we are going to determine the position of point D on the resistance wire, which will give us zero deflection in the galvanometer. To find the point D, we are going to use a pencil jockey which is going to slide on the wire. So this is the image of a pencil jockey. It has a point of connection at this end, and this is the point which is going to slide on the wire. Now the jockey is made to slide on the resistance wire and point D is determined, for which the galvanometer shows zero deflection. The length of the wire on the left hand side of point D is noted down as Lx, and the length of the wire on the right hand side of point D is measured as Lr. This stage of the network is said to be the balance condition of the meter bridge. In this balance condition, resistance R1 of the Wheatstone network is over here, R2 is over here, R3 is the resistance of the wire on the left hand side of D, and R4 is the resistance of the wire on right hand side of point D. Now we have seen that the condition required to balance the Wheatstone network is R1 upon R2 is equal to R3 upon R4. Applying this condition to the meter bridge, we can write down here in the balance condition of the meter bridge, R1 upon R2 is equal to R3 upon R4. Here R1 is X, the known resistance, R2 is the known resistance R in the right gap, R3 is the resistance of length Lx of the wire, and R4 is resistance of length Lr of the wire. So now substituting these values in the above balance condition, X upon R will be equal to resistance of Lx upon resistance of Lr. If the wire has cross-sectional area A and is made up of a material having specific resistance rho, then x upon r will be equal to rho Lx upon A divided by rho Lr upon A. A and rho will get cancelled. So we will get x upon r is equal to Lx upon Lr. So the unknown resistance x can be calculated from the formula x is equal to r Lx upon Lr. R is the known resistance connected in the right gap, and Lx and Lr are the lengths of the wire on left and right side of the balance point D. D is called as the null point or the zero deflection point on the resistance wire. So with this we come to the end of the theory part of electricity topic, and in the next video lecture we shall see problems on this topic. Thank you.